Dear mindful people, thank you. Thank you for giving me and you a chance by pressing play to be more mindful, more aware of ourselves and others. The podcast is just starting, and therefore I'm still trying to figure out the best technical tools and setups. In this episode particularly, the audio is not of the best of quality, but it's acceptable. I promise you I will improve it in further episodes. And without further ado, today's guest is Cindy. Cindy is an amazing woman, a life coach, and an expert on bullying. Our main topic will be bullying, and we will cover also themes such as self-confidence, self-esteem, and how to regain power back in our lives. Please stick around if you want to be more mindful about these topics, and thank you for being here. Wish you a nice listening. Okay, Cindy.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for the invite.
You, first of all, you made such a long journey to come here, and I really appreciate that. And other than thanking you, I want to thank the listeners, the mindful students. It's people who are curious to learn and open to hear others' points of view and others' stories. So we are a community, and we are trying to be more mindful and more inclusive and compassionate with ourselves and with others. So it's very important that you're here today. It's very important that the people are listening today, because I think the topic we're going to discuss today is going to be bullying.
Yes.
And I remember I came at your lecture and I left with such an awareness on the topic. I didn't thought it afflicted that much people. And when you were having your lecture, I saw that many students related and shared their experiences, and I started thinking maybe this is like a real problem. And not that I didn't consider it before, but I didn't know the scale of it, how many people are impacted. And I made a quick search online, and I found that one out of every 5 students report being bullied. That's 20.2% of students.
Yes.
And this is according to the National Center for Educational Statistics. The population in this case is the USA, but I found very similar data for European countries.
I have some data in my head.
Yeah, please tell us.
On the elementary schools here, it's mostly 1 in 10. So that's the age here is from, let's say, you start at 5 and you're finished at 12 in this school. So 1 in 8. 1 in 10. And when you go to high school, college, it depends on the level you're in, but 1 in 14 in the higher educations, and the numbers are even higher. 1 to 10, 1 to 15 if they're on the lower side of the education levels. And in the workplace, it's 1 in 8.
1 in 8?
1 in 8, yes. And if you're going to the elderly homes, it's 1 in 5 who gets bullied.
1 in 5?
Yes, and then it's mostly excluding people and making negative comments. Like if somebody's probably by accident is going to sit in the favorite chair of the neighbor, they're going to say something about it. It has to do with age, and it can be perceived as bullying very quickly. Yeah.
Can you tell us more about your work? What is that you offer?
Yeah, well, shall I start talking a little bit about myself first? Because
yeah,
otherwise we dive in the topic right away.
Yes.
My name is Cindy. I'm 39. I'm a coach. I help people who have experience with bullying as a victim, or even being the
bullier themselves.
The bullier themselves, yes, indeed. The reason why I do this is that I've been bullied from the age of 8 till 13 years old, and the next 20 years afterwards I had to live with the consequences, which led me to have a burnout 3 times, and I had some PTSD symptoms due to reliving moments of the bullying, which I also told you in the lecture. But what I do now, I give lectures, of course. I did this here on the university. I do this with younger people. I try to get in high schools here to start doing it over there. And I do one-on-one coaching. So if people has lost their confidence and are pretty insecure due to the bullying, I coach them back to self-confidence and self-worth, so they can stand up for themselves.
Yes. That's amazing. You provide so much value, and maybe also to not only people who have been bullied, but just in general people who have low confidence and self-esteem, which anyways are the biggest consequences of
Yes.
bullying.
Sure.
And I would like to start by asking you, how will you define bullying? What is bullying for you? And again, if you could quickly re-summarize the different ways in which it can happen.
Okay, well, the bullying, how they explain it is like time after time, the same person is being aggressively and structurally approached. And it had to do with time after time, the same person and the aggression. Now, there are 5 main categories of bullying, which is verbal bullying, non-verbal, relational, material or physical, which is pretty close, and digital, which is pretty new, of course.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, but that's even a meaner one, because I don't know if you heard about it, but right now the gossip girl trend, it's they make gossip accounts on TikTok, and they name people by name. They name teachers by name. For example, they could say, well, the teacher, naming the name, has walked in with the girls while they dressed for gym class, right? Into the girls' locker room while they were changing. Well, and it doesn't have to be true, but when people start believing this...
Yes, cyberbullying, it's so...
Yeah, and what people don't know, it actually is forbidden by law. So they can get...
persecuted.
Yes, thank you. I was looking for the word. Yeah, they can get prosecuted. And placing nudes, which I heard from someone else, there's a new app. It's highly used in Belgium. They can use your photos from, for example, Instagram, and you're on a holiday and you're wearing just a t-shirt and a jeans, and you're on holiday and you have the picture on your Instagram. They can put it in the app. It's a paid app, but they make the clothes disappear and pretend it's a nude, and they can repost that. If they do it with people below 18, you're a sexual offender here. You can get registered for a sexual offense. Yeah, and it will be with you for the rest of your life. Yes, you won't lose that record anymore.
Yeah, so please, guys
Don't.
and girls, be mindful about what you do on the internet.
And I always say when I teach, if you want to send nudes, okay, do it, but leave your head off. Keep the picture unrecognizable, so when they repost, they don't know it's you.
Okay.
Small tip.
Yeah, no, actually, maybe some people are like, oh, what did
I do? Yeah.
So going back more to your personal life, I would like to ask you, if you want to share it, how has bullying affected you? And how generally bullying affects people? Yeah,
well, the main message you get when being bullied is that you're worthless, right? And well, back to the time when we were hunters and collectors, and we needed to survive, we needed a group. And being said you were worthless was being thrown out of the group, and your chances of survival were very low. Well, being in this time of age, right, we can survive without the group, but those instincts are still the same. So when you've been cast out, it causes a lot of pain, a lot of sadness, which it did for me, for sure. I was sad, I felt lonely, very fearful. I was afraid it would happen again and again, the bullying. So to cope with that, I created coping mechanisms, for sure. And one of the things I did was pleasing, just people pleaser. I just tried to make everyone happy and forgot myself, of course. I never got mad to friends, ever. But as soon as I came home and one of my family members, like my sister, father, or mother, did something I didn't like, I just went through the roof, right? Screaming, shouting, crying. They got all the madness I had towards other people. But yeah, it's safer, of course, if you react to a family member.
To a family, so you kept all this
anger inside.
Yeah.
And I had very low self-esteem. I didn't feel worth much. So what I did, I tried to work very hard and get compliments from others and self-worth from others by hoping to get compliments by working hard. But it doesn't work like that. You know, I could work very hard for an employer, but there are hardly any employers who say, well, you did a good job. No, they don't. They all only tell you what's wrong. So I start working very hard and making more and more hours. I didn't set boundaries, so everyone could cross my boundaries. I didn't do anything about that. So if someone would give a snidey comment or anything, I would let it go because I thought I wasn't worth giving a reprimand back or saying something about it.
I see.
Yeah. So that are the main things I was struggling with. Yeah.
Yeah,
And a lot of guilt and shame. Didn't want to talk about it, especially shame, but also guilt. You know, at the end of the day, I was saying to myself, I should have said something about it. I should have done something about it. And that's also due to the advice I was given, right? You should just ignore it. They will stop, or just, I don't know how to say it in English, but if they say it, just park it. Don't mind it. Don't. So leave it where it is.
That's what we usually hear.
Yeah, that's what we usually hear. And did anyone ever tell you how to ignore it? Or no,
We've
right?
never been offered.
No,
these strategies.
no, nobody's ever saying how. So if you want a structure, I can help you with that. It's pretty easy, right? If you're bullied and you have a hard time coping with it and you want to ignore it, just close your eyes and visualize something around you where you can look through. So you must be able to look through it to the outside, but nothing is supposed to be able to come in. It bounces back, right? It could be glass, or it could be a mirror, or anything else you can imagine where all those nasty words bounce back from. They can't reach you. So that's a way, with a pretty simple exercise, you can visualize something around yourself which keeps you safe.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's an amazing technique. I never heard about it.
Yeah, it's pretty easy.
Yeah.
For me, it works.
Mm-hmm.
And with little children, friends of mine, they found it hard to use glass or anything, and they said, well, pick a balloon. Pick a color balloon.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind which color you pick. And they pick the color balloon, and then pretend it blows up around you. You're safe inside the balloon. So that's the way you can do it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's, this involves somehow visualization. And
yes.
We all have a different preferred type of visualizing things. Can be sounds, it can be sights, it can be, again, maybe with colors, a colorful balloon, or...
Yeah, or if you have a sound, you're a sound-based person, just create a sound which makes sure you can't hear the words, or will push the words away from you. I don't mind, just visualizing the way it suits you. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Going back to your story, what is one thing you wish you did as soon as you experienced bullying and as you were feeling the consequences of it?
Yeah, well, the correct answer would be saying something about it. What I wish I did was just slap them straight in the face, right? It's not a socially correct answer, but looking back, I thought for a very long time I should have slapped her the very first time she was being mean. I should have slapped her straight in the face, but you know, I've been brought up by the idea you don't hit, kick, or slap people, so I never did that. But what would be a better way, of course, is telling the bully to stop. I get mad or sad or hurt because you're calling me names, and I want you to call me by my own birth name, right? I'm Cindy, so I'm mad because you're calling me names, and I want you to name me Cindy from now on. So that's a way you can structure a boundary. Yeah.
So you name what you're feeling.
Yes.
You name what you would like to change in the behavior of that person.
Yeah. I always say, it's if you want to write it down, take pen and paper. I will say it slowly, or you can put the pause button.
Pause.
Yeah, pause. So you say, I feel mad, sad, glad, or scared. You can pick one, or anyone you like for that matter. So I feel a feeling when you do unwanted behavior, and I want you to do wanted behavior. Yeah, and be specific about it, right? I said, stop calling me names. I want you to name me Cindy. So I was very specific what I want the other one to do. And of course, it takes practice. And to be honest, if something happens, I don't always have it down. You know, every once in a while something happens. Like, for example, I had a while back somebody, the tone of their comment wasn't very nice. And I got mad instantly. She said, well, we tried it. And just, for example, maybe a little bit in this way even, yeah, we tried it. I was like, whoa, and I got mad, so incredibly mad, I couldn't say anything. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna keep my mouth shut, get myself out of this situation, calm down. Half an hour later, I talked to her. I said, I feel mad because you said this, yeah, we tried it already, in that same tone, and I want you to say it, we've tried it already, in a friendlier tone. So I was very specific about what I wanted. Yeah. So that's the hard part. You have to try it. Yeah, and like I said, it doesn't go great.
Always, yeah.
No.
We're humans.
We're
not
humans,
machines,
yes.
as I remember you said. And also this way of communicating not only with the valuer and people who are valuing you, but also with people in general. It's such a mindful way to communicate with people.
Definitely, but it asks for a level of vulnerability because you're stating a feeling. And that's scary because people will react on that, can react on that. If it's valid or not, that's a whole other discussion. But yeah, you show your real self, your true self. And that's scary, even with your partner or with your family or your friends or your loved ones. Yeah, it's scary, of course. Yeah. So my story, to go back,
Yes.
you asked me a question about what should I have done about it. One of the things I should have done is be stating my boundaries directly. And the other thing I wished I would have done sooner, talk about it with my family, with my parents, so they could help me. Or I wasn't able to intervene, right, and to make it stop. But years later, my parents went to the school director, and he was able to make it stop. But what would happen? What would have changed for me by when I was 8? You know, I wished I could have said it straight away to my parents, because I wouldn't have had years of bullying, years of trauma actually, which I did later on because I didn't talk about it. Yeah.
Talking about our own sufferings and our own emotions, we feel ashamed, as you say, we feel guilt because we experience these kind of feelings, but we should not.
No.
We should immediately ask for help in most of the cases. And that's something we struggle to do because we often think that we're not worth of being heard. We're not worth of being offered help. Or what we're struggling with, it's by itself not a big thing, but if we only keep our own perspectives on our own struggles, then they magnify so much.
Well, people also, especially kids, for example, are afraid that it gets worse, the bullying, when they talk about it. And being grown up or being brought up, we are taught not to snitch. You know, you're not supposed to snitch. Whatever somebody else is doing, you're not snitching. But all of a sudden you're getting bullied. And you're not talking about it because that's snitching. Right? So you're doing what you're actually thought to do. And then when it comes to bullying, they actually expect you to do the whole other thing, right? Talking about it, snitching. So that's a conflict.
That's a big conflict.
Yes. It's a conflict for kids. Yeah. And even when you're getting older and you might have the thought, well, I am the strong, independent person. I should have been able to do something about it by myself. I should have been strong enough to say, yeah, you shut up, or anything like that, right? And then you're getting hard on yourself. You're going to be meaningful to yourself by what you say in your mind, right? I should have done this and I should have done that, and I'm a loser. And so you're making it even worse for yourself doing by yourself. Yeah.
I was talking to a friend yesterday and asking her, what are you interested about the topic in bullying? What is it that you don't know? And she told me she gave me this beautiful insight is that we don't often hear also the reasons behind the bullier, the people who's bullying. We often only hear the victims, but we don't get an understanding of why the people in the first place bully each other. Why is it? So could you give us some insights into
Yes, of course. I'll start with sharing a part of my story.
Yes, please.
Because I've been the victim, but I've also bullied. How that came to is we were with a group of girls. We were friends, and one person was let's call it the leader of the pack, right? The bully herself. And at the time I was 8, I wasn't always the victim, She was always the bully, but she picked on us. Some days it was girl number 1, and sometimes it was girl number 3, and sometimes it was me. So if it was girl number 1 or 2, I bullied. I followed her. Why? Because then that day I wasn't the victim. I was safe. I wasn't in pain. So that's why I bully, right? And it happens all the time. So, and sometimes I, of course, was the victim. But why does the bully? He or she, or I don't know, they, is it in English maybe? I just want to use all the forms, right? They want something good for themselves. So, for example, there's a victim. It's easier if you have a picture, but let's do it without. Let's say there's a victim, and that victim is kind and nice and has a lot of friends and is popular, and they're in the same classroom, let's say. And the bully sees that and thinks, oh shit, now there's nobody left for me to be friends with. So he wants a stronger social position. He starts bullying because that's the only way he or she or they know to get that social status of being important. And people don't want to hang around the victim. Of course, it's not nice to be there. It's not a nice place because then you could get picked on yourself. So they go to be friends, kind of friends with the bully, because they're of course not real friends, because they're only afraid they might otherwise get hurt themselves or be the victim themselves. But for sure, the bully, he starts bullying, he gets those friends. He's going to be popular and having friends. So what is the good it will give him when I just make it a he for now, gets those friends? Okay, he might be feeling worthy. Okay, and what's the good he gets when of feeling worthy? Okay, the next step might be being seen. Okay, when he or she is being seen, what is the good he gets for himself? Happiness.
Happiness.
Yes. So the bullies, in this case, to get happiness. And therefore it's important to make an separation between behavior and person. I believe in existence, every person is good, because we want all good things for ourselves. We might not like the behavior somebody is putting on display.
Yes.
So how can he or she, like for example this bully, he wanted to be happy, how can he be happy and get friends without the bullying behavior? So he needs to learn other behavior. And Of course, you can do it with jealousy, and there are numbers of reasons, but in the end, the bully wants something good for him or her or themselves when they bully, a good feeling. So that's actually why people are bullying. And in my case, like I explained, once I was following the bully, I was safe. So my highest goal that day, like also bullying, for me was being safe. So that could also be a reason why someone bullies. Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
thank you.
You're
So
welcome.
many things to break down, and at
Mhm.
the end, yes, I recall a quote from Ramdas. It's a spiritual guru.
Yeah.
None of you heard about it, but he said to learn to see actions as evil or good and bad, but not people.
Yeah.
And as you said, at the end, we are all very similar. We're all searching for happiness at our core and avoiding pain, the
Oh,
need to
sure.
avoid fear, and we achieve so in many different ways, some of which are certainly not constructive.
No, and of course, it's not always happiness. It can be peace, it can be joy, it can self-love, worthiness. But it's mostly things we all want to achieve in our lives. So the bully, or for example, anyone showing bad behavior, and some days I don't even can grab this myself, but imagine a killer. He kills because he wants something good for himself.
Yes.
People committing crimes, they want something good for themselves. They are good people in essence, but they have bad behavior. And it's so weird if you think about it. And some days I can grab this and I'm like, yeah, quite sure, no problem. And this sounds very harsh, right? Even rapists, they want something good for themselves. And if it happened to you and you hear me say this, you might get angry at me.
Yes.
Of course you get angry at me because it's hard, right? How can a rapist be good? But that's the separation you make between people and behavior.
Yes.
The person itself and behavior.
Okay, so now I would like to delve more deeper into the strategies you have used to overcome your challenges. So, if you could just give us an overview of the most effective tools you've encountered to heal yourself.
Yeah, well, there are some basic practical tips I can give straight away.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, I will start with those. It's most a good night's sleep, 8 hours of sleep, right? When we sleep better, we're feeling better. So it's a mindful student podcast. So if you have an exam, an exam goes way better when you slept your enough hours. And if you study, you might want to take a whole night studying before your exam. But that's most of the time not the most effective way to get your good grades. Exercising, preferably 3 times a week, and powerlifting or lifting weights. But if you're not into that, it doesn't matter. Pick something you like and you can keep up for 3 times a week. And don't think that I never make a mistake because I haven't doing some exercise in 2 months. So I'm not always perfect with this anyway. So we had the exercise down. Food, just healthy food. The 80-20 rule, right? 80% of your food needs to be healthy, 20% can be less healthy. And that also has to do with having more energy, feeling happier, feeling better.
Yeah, now maybe the listeners may be going, okay, they're talking about bullying, now they're talking about diet and the sleep, but actually all these things, it's crazy, but are so interrelated. It is actually shown in science, and when we sleep, we go into this process where we revive in our minds negative emotions without the chemicals that makes us stress. So basically, when you sleep, you go through the negative emotions you experienced in your day or in past days, and you work through them. So that way, when you are asleep, it's as if your mind has processed them and recovered them. So in the same way, a person who might experience bullying or any struggle at all. Should get
Yeah.
some sleep and exercise to get the stress out.
It has to do with all the hormones, and there are people who can say in detail which ones there are, but I'm not that much of a detail.
Yes.
I know it has to do with hormones. I just can't name them, especially not in English. So, and it also has to do with feeling better about yourself, because that's one of the main strategies against bullying. If you feel good about yourself, who you are, it's way harder for other people to take you down. So, for example, we talked about it. I talked about this last night. I said clothing, dress appropriately for an occasion, and she said, "Well, yeah, but then I have to, adjust so much that I can't go to the occasion, and then I'm not me anymore." I said, "No, that's not what I mean. I mean, if, for example, if you have to go to a wedding, you don't wear your sweatpants." Or they have to be specific on the wedding invitation, that's okay. But usually you don't, because when you do, people will be watching you and it probably will make you insecure. And you don't want that. So what can you do? If you're for my example, are a girl and you don't want to wear a dress and high heels, just find yourself maybe a nice suit and wear something with a flat shoe underneath it. When you still feel good and you're dressed pretty appropriately for the occasion, but you're still within your own range of where you're feeling happy. You're doing you, but within the range of what's expected. Yeah. So that's what I mean. And simple things like if you're on a Sunday and you're lazy and relaxing, you wear your sweatpants, right? So if you want to, for example, go into the office, you don't want to wear sweatpants because you feel a little bit more sluggish. It's most social occasions it's not so accepted so if you come in with sweatpants. But maybe you can wear jeans and a nice t-shirt or blouse or jacket, whatever. Maybe a nice sweater, whatever you like. But use something what suits you.
Yeah, that makes you feel
good,
secure. Yeah, I recall me starting my university, my high school years. I arrived at school. I had really horrible running pants, and I had all these hoodies, and I didn't care at all how I looked. And then I realized that in the moment I began also to be more confident. I was very unconfident with myself.
Yeah.
In that moment also my outfits changed. I went to school with all the jeans and the nice t-shirt. So it is such a beautiful insight to dress more in a way that makes you feel more yourself, more confident. And,
well, my sister, she told me, I like it. She's a mom of 2 kids. I don't have kids, and she's working with a lot of other women. And sometimes the kids don't sleep at night. And they say, well, when we're feeling bad, we're dressing up because then we're feeling better. So if someone comes up all dressed up to work, right? High heels, makeup down, hair down, like fancy clothes, they're like, you had a bad night, didn't you? Yeah, I did. Yes. But let's make a party today. And for sure you're feeling better. It's just simple, but it works.
So nice. It works. It's a really nice way.
What's also important is do as you say for yourself. Keep your own promises. Why? Pretend your confidence is like a balloon, right? A balloon filled with air. And you promise yourself in the morning, well, I'm going to go to the gym, and you don't go. And you punch a slight hole in your balloon, right? There's a little bit of air coming out. And then you say, oh yeah, well, I'm gonna stand up for myself. I'm gonna assert my boundaries to my brother. And you don't do it. Another slight hole. More air is coming out, right? And every time you don't do it, you pinch a hole in your own self-confidence. And what happens with a balloon filled with holes? It deflates. Yeah. So you're actually shrinking your own self-confidence by not keeping your own promises. And I don't mean to say right now, well, I've got these 16 things I want to do and I'm gonna implement them all right now. That's not gonna work. It's too much, right? Pick one. You definitely want to do, right? And practice.
Yeah.
Keep practicing it till you've got it down, and then pick the next one.
Mm.
Or say, I will do it for 3 weeks, and then I'm gonna add another one.
Yeah.
Yeah, not everything at the same time, right? I just, like I said, I had a few rough weeks a while ago, and I started eating bad, and I didn't go to the gym, and no, sleeping bad. So I started with eating better, right? This week, I promised myself I am gonna cook every night. I'm gonna make healthy lunches. So this week, my promise is eating better.
I see. Yeah, I remember reading this book that actually, as you said, self-confidence must be built up.
Yeah.
It's not that you one day you wake up, oh, I have self-confidence. No.
No.
And the way you do this is exactly choosing one thing, and most of the times the best thing to do is choose a small thing, like doing your bed as soon as you wake up in the morning. If you say to yourself, okay, tomorrow morning the first thing I do is make my bed, and you actually wake up and you do that simple thing as making your bed, that will increase your self-confidence. And another thing would be, okay, every morning, no, tomorrow morning I go and take a walk 15 minutes for myself.
Yeah.
Even if that it's not something you may imagine productive, or actually you do it, and that builds your self-confidence.
Maybe it's a 1-minute wall sit or a 1-minute plank. I don't care. Or a 10-second cold shower. I don't mind what you're picking. Just pick something. And it's about building that self-confidence, feeling better about yourself, right? And the same is for relaxation. And everybody's like, yeah, I'm watching Netflix. And no, that's not relaxation, because your brains are still working, are still processing the story and all the images, and you're getting a whole lot of, your senses are getting stimulated. No, what really is a relaxation is meditation or walking, and not with a podcast, because then the same applies as when you're watching television, you're being stimulated, your brain's working. More information, indeed, yes. So walking, relaxation, also part of a healthy self-confidence. Taking care of yourself, making yourself your first priority. And asserting boundaries. That's also, it's one of the hardest ones. Let's be true, because everyone has a problem with asserting boundaries. If not to one people, to everyone, maybe with one person, right? So if you have a hard time getting that on track, just download my, oh no, it's in Dutch. I would say download my ebook, but it's in Dutch, so that's hard. You have to put it to Google Translate. But anyway, find help. I don't mind how you do it, but find a coach, maybe a friend, or an expert, or a psychologist. I mean, you're in school here.
Studying psychology,
so
that's why the best thing to get to help ourselves is to go to people who have results. Imagine you want to know how to ride a bike, you go to someone who knows how to ride a bike. So if you're searching for some self-confidence, if you're searching for some more health, you seek certain people, certain experts, and that is so basic. It's so simple, but we forget that.
Practice. And if you don't want to say it straight away to the person, practice at home with your friends, your partner, your parents. I don't know. Maybe you're in a living with fellow students. Just pick one. Please, I want to say something about my salary to my boss because I want a better paycheck. Okay, well, can you help me practice?
Yeah.
I want to practice my story. To see if I can get it out easily. Yeah,
actually, make me think in my dormitory, because I sleep in this room, and we share I share the kitchen and the bathroom with other 8 people. And I've not stated my boundaries at all. I should do that. Because that's very important. Otherwise, how can we get to understand each other and understand what our own needs? So,
Yeah, because self-confidence actually is knowing what you need, what you want, and what you feel. And it's hard, because when I was being bullied, I was more concerned about what the other thought about me, what they wanted, what they needed, and I lost myself. I lost knowing what I want, what I felt and what I thought, because I was so concerned about the other. So that's pretty common when you're bullied. Or the other movement you can make is distance yourself from it. But you're become more of an observer. You know, you see what's happening, but you don't feel it. So it's also a reaction to safety. Could be two, like for instance what I did, getting concerned about the other, or separate yourself, become more of an observant if it happens to her, the other version of me that's over there. Yeah.
And it's unbelievable how me first we struggle so much defining these three things: who we are, what we want, and how we feel. Is this the right thing? Yeah, just understanding how you feel sometimes gets so difficult.
Yeah, and when you know that, you know who you are. And once you're secure in that, it's way easier to say what you like or don't like, or just lifting your shoulders.
Not caring about others' expectations.
You know, when somebody says, well, that's not my opinion, or I think what you're doing is stupid, I'm said, okay, that's your opinion. I don't have to agree. So there's you're feeling different about yourself. So that's what you can do against bullying. You know, what are healthy, some healthy habits. Then assert your boundaries. Be kind to yourself. You know, we are most of the times our hardest critic. We need to be perfect. Right? So for example, I can't play the piano. If I want to start playing the piano tomorrow, of course I need to play the piano like Beethoven straight away, right?
Yes.
Right? I don't know the notes on the keypad, but for sure.
You're Beethoven.
I need to be Beethoven, right? And if I say it like this, everyone's like, of course not. But we're doing it with every single little thing. For example, you're studying psychology. Did you treat some people already or not?
No. And I have actually many classmates who are like, and me myself also, we're expecting to already know the program, already understand what to study, what to not study, and but no, that's not how it's. We need time, and also in general in life, it's not that you just like that know what's your calling in life, what is your path. You need time to understand who you are. So also that keep yourself.
I started being a carpenter, like making furniture. That was my first education. I'm a bookkeeper. I can keep books, right? That's another education. I started as a dentist assistant. I did some courses for that. Now I'm a coach. I just become 40, right?
Yes.
Or I have to become 40. But you can change. For sure. And now I'm a coach. I know who I am. I know this is what I need to do, right? And I just learned that 4 or 5 years ago. So very recent. But going back to being your hardest critic, find a helpful thought. That's what you can do against it. So for example, the one I had in my mind was I must do it right. There's no room for errors, right? That was my go-to sentence. So that's why I have a hard time with the word mistake or something like mistake. So what I do now, if something didn't turn out the way as I expected, right? Or let's say the hard way, I made a mistake. I'm like, I get a different result than expected. How can I get to the desired result? That's a way kinder thought than, well, I must do it right and I can't make any mistakes. And when I didn't make a mistake, you're dumb and you're stupid and you're a cow and nobody's gonna ever like you. And well, so find a helpful thought.
Yes.
For me,
some compassion.
Some compassion for yourself. Would you be as harsh on your sister if she makes a mistake, or your mother, or even your best friend? Of course not. So why are you so hard on yourself? So find a helpful thought. You know, and one of my other go-to ones is, I'm just a person, I'm not a computer. I'm just a person. I'm not a computer.
That's a beautiful one.
Yeah, because a computer does exactly what you say it has to do. So when you're doing it wrong, of course it's not working straight away. But I'm just a person. I'm not a computer. That's what really helps me getting through. And during this coaching training, I had a teacher, and he said, "I hope you make a lot of mistakes. Just make as many mistakes as you can, because then you will learn more than you ever thought you could." And that was mind blowing, right? Make as many mistakes as you can, then you're gonna learn more than you ever thought. Wow! And that helped me a lot. Yeah, that was amazing. So that's also a good thing, right? Knowing the critical voice, knowing it's there, but you don't have to listen to it. Find a voice which is nicer, a sentence. Okay, another thought. How can I be nicer to myself? And also important from being bullied and moving on is forgiveness. Because you have to forgive the bullier, the perpetrator, but also yourself. Because you're probably mean to yourself about it. I didn't stand up for myself. I didn't say anything about it. I didn't talk about to anyone. This is a short example or exercise, if you want to call it. You can start forgiveness with, and maybe you have to do it a few times. But write everything down on a paper, right? Who you have to forgive, for what you have to forgive them, and yourself. Just make a long list, a long paper. Write it all down. Put all your energy and thought in there, because paper holds meaning. And someone once said, well, if you have kids and you get a drawing from them, right? It holds emotion. Yeah. So this is more of a shamanic exercise. And
that's a beautiful exercise.
Write everything down, but then we're not there yet. Blow all the hard feelings, the anger, the resentment into the paper. Blow it into there. And then light a fire. And put your paper in the fire and say, I let it free, I let it go. And if you want to even take it a step further, you can gather the ashes and give it back to Mother Earth. Like, put it in your garden, right?
Yes.
Within the soil. So then you give it back. It maybe it won't solve everything at once, but maybe you have to do it a few times, but every time you give it back. Yeah. More and more. So these are easy exercises I can give you. Of course, I work a little bit different because in my practice it's just one exercise, and it's forgiving, not forgiving, and then you go talk to the parts and you can make them work together. Well, it's a whole process, but within 1.5 hours it's done. So
I see. Yeah, of course. But what you do, it's more in depth and more elaborate. But however, even this simple exercise, I believe, someone, especially in our Western world, we can neglect these rituals, these processes, but actually doing something like this, writing on a piece of paper all the anger you have and burning it and letting it free in the air and put it down to the earth, seeing that to your own heart and mind, it's like really letting go. It's changing the association. It's changing the beliefs. And
if you want, and when you put it in the fire, you can say, "I forgive you. I forgive me." So it sets you free. Yeah. And of course, it's not what I do in my practice, but I just want to give you something with this podcast you can do for yourself to move on. Of course. So that are a few things you can do against bullying, of course.
Amazing.
Yeah, getting good self-esteem is also a big part of it. That's harder because that has mostly to do with belief re-imprint. You believe something about yourself which is not true. That's harder to change, but at my coaching I do one exercise with you and it's changed. Yeah.
Our beliefs are so hard to change, but once we change them, not everything, but most of the times, almost everything changes.
Almost everything changes.
Because it's what we believe. that determines our actions. It's what we believe determines how we feel. Our beliefs are I'm sure you know very well, are the constructs of our lives. So we have to also look at go deep and understand our beliefs.
Yeah. Your belief is creating your story you make up in your mind about yourselves, about your life, right? Being the victim of bullying is such a story, right? I was a victim. It happened to me, and I could keep sitting there, and I could feel sorry for myself, but that didn't change it. You know, I had to do something about it myself, and I can't change the other. I just can't change what I think and what I feel about myself. So I did with this coaching, because I didn't became a destination coach for nothing. I went through it myself. Yeah, for me it was the solution, because after 3 burnouts and suffering from PTSD from being bullied, psychology, I'm sorry, didn't do it for me.
Yeah, I am aware sometimes you go to a psychologist and all you get is more thoughts and more a reinforcement of crazy beliefs. So no, I'm glad you found all these strategies, all these, and I had a similar path. Also me, I had struggled with depression, and I abused several drugs, and I just had a terrible mindset, lifestyle, and around me also the family environment was very hard. And at some point I just couldn't take it no more, and I started doing investigating these belief systems, and I've been coached from Tony Robbins, a beautiful coach.
Oh yeah. Change your state, change your story, change your life.
Yeah,
right?
Change your story, change your life. That's it. And then I went to Wim Hof, so cold baths.
Okay, yeah.
And
breath coach.
Breath works also. Yeah. And I found all these tactics, and today for me, I still get coked. Oh my God, I still have so much work to do, but at least I have some places to go.
Yeah.
Where I can, I know I can help myself. And
for sure, you know, I said right now I'm telling people, find something that works for you. I don't mind if you're coming to me. Hey, you're most welcome, for sure. But if this isn't working for you, right? If my destination coaching work is not for you, it's not doing anything. Find something else. You know, maybe you like breath work. Start doing that. Maybe you want to be a psychologist. Go there, for sure. Do it. But you have to take action. Nobody can do it for you. And if you're playing the victim card, right? It happened to me, and I'm so sorry, and I'm sad, and nothing can help me. Nothing's gonna change. You have to take the first step to, especially when we're quite down and out. You have to take that first step to find your own help. Nobody else can do it for you. You have to do it. Yeah.
We must step up.
Yeah.
We must step up.
Yeah. And some I'm gonna go back into the conversation, because we were talking about tips. What can you do? There's a TED talk of Amy Cuddy, and she's talking about posture. It's a very simple one, but you know, imagine people winning a race. How do they cross the finish line? Yeah, hands up and screaming, and they even did it with blind people. They cross the finish line the same way. So feeling better about yourself. I know, maybe you know Wonder Woman, and when she stands straight up, shoulders down, hands in her sides, feet hip width or maybe shoulder width apart, and she's standing strong, tall. It's scientifically proven, if you keep that pose for 2 minutes, you're instantly feeling better about yourself. You're feeling more secure.
I've read that.
Stronger. And you can look for the TED Talk. It's Amy Cuddy in TED Talk, then you find it, or
I will
posture.
check it out. I've already been suggested it, and I will see it again. Yeah.
It was amazing. It was mind blowing for me. So I put it always in my lectures or podcasts. Like,
that's so nice.
That's an easy one. And you know, what do we do when we're getting stressed or entering a scary, fearful situation? Like, for example, you have to do a job interview and you have to wait like 10 minutes in the waiting room. What do? You get your phone out. What's your posture when you're holding your phone? Head down, shoulders hunched forward, you're making yourself small.
Yeah.
Okay. Where can you compare it to, that position, that bodily position? Feeling sad, feeling depressed. And if you're doing that with your phone, your body is giving signals to the brain. You're feeling depressed, so you're gonna feel depressed. You don't want that if you're gonna go to a new job interview. And so put that phone away, maybe find a toilet or anything, or a washing room, whatever. Somewhere where you can be by yourself, of course, because you don't want to stand in the middle of the waiting room in the Wonder Woman pose, but you can if you want to, for sure. Mm-hmm. But maybe you want to find a quieter place to do that. But that's boosting self-esteem quite quickly.
Yeah.
And of course,
and it works.
It works.
Our listeners, definitely try this. Our physiology affects and so much of how we feel. Yeah.
In the lecture,
beautiful technique.
In the lecture, I did an exercise, right? And I let people take on that depressed feeling, and I said, well, feel happy like you won the lottery or you made the biggest win in your life. I don't care what it is. Feel it, being in this depressed position.
You can.
Try it. You can. So if you did that, that's funny. And then I asked them to do it the other way around, right? Stand up tall, head up high, make yourself broad, like broad shoulders, and for example, the Wonder Woman position, and then feel depressed, like you're on the down low, on the lowest point in your life. It doesn't work. Well, some people can manage some sort of depression, but not the very lowest of low. So if you like to do it, just try it out. Yeah, that's cool.
Okay, well, to conclude, I'd like to ask you one last question, and that is, to someone out there who's struggling with bullying or low self-esteem or low self-confidence, what is the best advice you could give to them?
Talk about it.
Talk about it.
Find someone you trust. Talk about it. And especially if you're dealing with it very heavily, find someone who's a specialist who truly can help you. Just, I gave some tips and tricks here, but that's not the hard main work which brings on the big changes. So if you want to find me, for example, just look me up. My site is in Dutch, but I can do English. That's not a problem. Mm-hmm. Just contact me. Just give me a call, send me a WhatsApp message or anything. You find the number on my website.
I'll link everything under the podcast, so these listeners know whatever you want to investigate more about Cindy, you'll find all the information.
Yes. I don't know if you want to know a little bit about my coaching. I can elaborate on that a little bit more. Well, I always say a coach is like a taxi driver, and they're like, how do you mean a coach is like a taxi driver? Well, I compare it like this. When you come from holiday and you land in the Netherlands on Schiphol and you want to go home, and the first thing the taxi driver is asking you, where do you want to go? And for example, you can say, well, I don't want to go to Rotterdam. Okay, but then there's a whole lot of the Netherlands where he can still take you. Yeah, I don't want to go to Amsterdam. Well, there's still a lot of the Netherlands left, but we're here at the Spin Nijmegen. So if you say, I want to go to Spin Nijmegen, here's the address, take me there, he definitely knows where to take you, right? So my coaching is also like that. We start with clear goals. Where do you want to go to? What do you want? Because people have we for sure know what we don't want. We don't want to get angry anymore. We don't want to be sad. We don't want to be scared. Okay. You don't want to go to Utrecht. You don't want to go to Rotterdam. You don't want to go to Amsterdam, right? So what is it you do want? Okay, I want to be peaceful. Okay, so you want to go to Spin Nijmegen. I want to be happy. Okay, so you want to go to Master Your Mind Coaching in Maarsen. So I always start with clear goals.
That's a beautiful way to begin.
Yeah, and it's always, if you once I use this comparison, they're like, oh yeah, well now it's clear.
Now it's clear.
And still people in my chair say, well, I don't want to be sad anymore. So I always ask, if you're not sad, what are you then? And then they automatically,
I want to be happy. Yeah, that's a way we can find out what we actually want by defining what we don't want. The opposite.
Yes.
this coach said, you want to find the job of your life. Okay, take a piece of paper and write down the worst job you could imagine. How does it look like? When is it that you start working? Where is it that you work? You made your list and you're so sad, but then you flip the paper and now you write down the opposite. So you compare from what you don't want, you see what you want. And one thing also it's important to understand is, I recall this quote from Tony Robbins: where focus goes, energy flows.
Yeah.
So if you're constantly focusing on what you don't want,
You get it.
you get it.
For sure, yeah. So that's I always help my clients, of course, with making a clear goal. And the next step, this came from one of my clients herself, amazing change. I use a process, and it just helps you clearing the problem in one session. Well, most people, there are some examples, but most of the people clear it in one session, the problem, forever. Right? It can come back on another level, but then it's always slightly different. So they clear the problem, and then there's this ultimate doing, right? Because effortlessly you're able to change it, because that trigger you had is gone, right? For example, I compare the mind to a computer, right? We all have memories, and for example, you have it's all ones and zeros. Let's compare it to a computer. The last three are ones, 3 zeros. Three times a one, and those 3 times code this thought with pain. So every time something similar comes around, you feel that pain. It's like a bruise being touched, right? You have a bruise on your arm, and every time something's like it, they touch you on the shoulder and it hurts. So what if with one session, one process, you keep most of the numbers of the memory, but the last 3 you make 3 zeros, and it means you still have the memory, but it doesn't hurt anymore. So when you come into daily life and some things quite similar, that memory doesn't pop up. That bruise is gone. So you can choose another way of you behaving. And that's amazing. I called it magic myself, because I was walking around with problems for more than 20 years, and after one session, because I went through it myself to an amazing coach, I cleared it in one session. I was like, wow, this is magic. Why doesn't the world know this? I have to tell my story.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm here.
It's beautiful, Cindy.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And yeah, because it's also important to get coaching, but find the right coach.
Yeah.
And I know I kind of grasp some of these strategies. NPL, I remember, has to do with it. And just find out the best strategies you can and go for them. Fully immerse yourself.
Yeah.
And also when you find a coach, somebody that you like, go for it.
Yeah, go for
and
it.
people are stopped off, oh my god, it costs so much. Oh, no. Forget about that. It's worth I remember I did this coaching from Tony Robbins. I paid this event. It was like 500 euros, which for a student, for me, it's a lot of money. I'm like, oh my god. And then I did it, and it changed my life so much. Yeah. So
I don't know if he does it right now, but I follow the 5-day free course of Tony Robbins. It's online. It's not Unleashing the Power Within. It's called different.
Yeah, was Unleash the Power. I did Unleash the Power Within with him. Yeah. But yeah, every now and then, every year, like I think twice, he does these free courses. Yeah. So even though
check his LinkedIn, because he posts everything on LinkedIn.
Okay, and check Cindy's LinkedIn, guys.
Yes, please. But most is in Dutch. You can find me indeed on LinkedIn or Instagram, Facebook. I have TikTok, but I don't post much on it. So, yeah.
You will find every social account and the LinkedIn. I'll put everything in the description, so the listeners can absolutely contact you easily. Okay.
Well, thank you very much.
Cindy,
amazing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's one of the first episodes, and I'm really grateful we talked about so many wonderful things. Yeah. And I believe people will get value from this. I believe we may help somebody struggling with self-esteem, confidence, and battling, and so many other things. So I'm so grateful that you came here.
And there's always much more to tell, of course.
Yeah, well, we may
We
meet
just
another
have
time.
another. Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
We
for
can
sure.
do
Yeah,
another,
we can do another one.
episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I'm curious about, because this process of NPL,
Mhm.
I really want
NLP.
to NLP.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I will contact you. I want to maybe get a coaching session.
that's
I have
okay.
some things to work on,
Yeah, that's for sure.
but I really eradicate this too
And
much.
if you say, well, I have this 3-month project, it's 500 euros, so you can say that's too much. You can take separate coaching
Mhm.
sessions. They're a little bit more expensive, but
Mhm.
then you can say, oh, I do one a month, or maybe when I need it.
Mhm.
If you want to, yeah, of course, you're welcome.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Nancy.
You're welcome.
Thank
I
you
liked
everybody for listening.
Yes.
You liked it? You enjoyed it?
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. So I
nice.
hope my English is good enough for everybody to understand.
I think
but,
so. I think your English actually it's better than mine. Mine have such an Italian accent. I bring it to the podcast. I cannot do nothing.
You are you, right? Yes.
Yeah.